morning, Roll Gang, and welcome on in to another fabulous episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake. I am your host this morning, Processor Sky, and I am so pleasured to bring you guys another episode of Canna News Thursday, where we break down the best of the cannabis news in this week from around the country and even sometimes abroad, in other countries. But this episode, as always, is proudly presented to you by Oaksterdam University, the first ever cannabis college in the country. Guys, this is the way to get your cannabis education. Use promo code ROLLINGSPOON to get 10% off your tuition when you go and learn about this amazing industry and the plant that it surrounds. And also brought to you by the Rolling Spoon Cannabis Multi-Tool, the most efficient way to procure your cannabis. This all-in-one multi-tool will help you seal the deal and roll a dime every time. You know how it is on the Weekday Wake and Bake. Good morning, Roll Gang. But anyways, I'm about to do what we do every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And that is roll up some herb. So every weekday morning at 8 a.m., if this is your first time joining the show, I go live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Sometimes it's just me, sometimes with other cannabis industry professionals and celebrities. But, basically just go live on all 5 platforms, smoke up some herb, and talk about some cannabis content, because this plant that we love so much deserves all the attention in the world. And it's basically stoner law to wake and bake, so I don't want to do anything illegal, like not participate in the wake and bake. And of course, I want the Roll Gang to know I would never miss a wake and bake with you guys. I fucking love session with you guys, so really excited to bring some cannabis news to you guys from around the country. Got some really exciting movement. But as you can see right here, I'm about to roll up some of this fine herb so that, we can smoke while we do the news. What other news show does your anchorman, Processor Sky, smoke some herb while introducing the news? So I'm getting out my paper, gotta get a filter, and then I'll use my rolling spoon to roll me up a dime, just like every weekday morning. Roll Gang, absolutely great to see you. But without further ado, let's get on into this first news story on this Canna News Thursday episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake. Super excited to have a pretty hype piece of cannabis news coming from the great state of Connecticut. Got a couple friends out in Connecticut from Elon and really enjoyed my time in Connecticut. So Governor Ned Lamont of Connecticut said the state is 6 months away from completely legalizing the cannabis market for adult use. Huge news, Connecticut. Your state is about to allow you, if you're over the age of 21, to buy, possess, and consume cannabis with THC in it. Yo, Connecticut, huge shout out Connecticut for being so, for getting with the times and joining the squad of amazing states that have cannabis legalized for adult use. I mean, why not, Roll Gang? At this point, get on the bandwagon or you sleeping. Shout out Idaho, yo. I was just in Idaho where it's not even medicinally legal. Those people have no idea what the fuck is going on. But shout out Connecticut, making it happen. And shout out Governor Ned Lamont for making sure that our plant gets legalized within this year, I guess. Within the next 6 months, says the governor of Connecticut. Yo, shout out, beginner buds tapping into the show. Major shout out. Canada News Thursday, you know what it is. Smoking some herb and sharing some cannabis news stories with you guys. Roll gang, super excited. All my stories normally come from marijuanamoment.com, MJ Moment. Really great cannabis news source, but I'm very selective about what I share with you guys on the show. So the first piece of cannabis news was Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont legalizing cannabis for adult use within the next 6 months, quoted, giving his statement saying that will occur. Woo! I hope everybody's smoking with me this morning, roll gang. Yeah, before I get on into this next piece of cannabis news, got another dime, courtesy of my rolling spoon, helping me to keep my fingers clean in my rolling process. Absolutely love rolling up with you guys every morning. Hope you're smoking. So the next piece of cannabis news on this Canada News Thursday episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake comes from national source that says that internationally public libraries came up with the idea to seek funding from the marijuana tax revenue. And I think that this is a great idea. So libraries are dying, but it's one of those things that I'm pretty sad that they're dying. There's not much need for libraries anymore, but it's always comforting to know that if you need to do some research or if you need a place to go and work, there are public libraries all over the country, and we need to make sure that they don't die. So they actually came up with a pretty good idea to seek funding from marijuana tax revenue because the cannabis industry is booming enough to carry the team for some dying industries like the library industry. But libraries are still super essential for knowledge and information consumption and maybe one day cannabis consumption. How about the idea of having a consumption lounge library? I think it would really convince people to come and sesh up and learn some stuff and some books. Check out some books and learn some new things while you smoke some weed with your friends. Public library consumption lounge, maybe? I mean, I'm game. They're really smart for seeking funding from cannabis taxes. And I hope that they are granted this allowance because, yeah, there's a lot of money in the cannabis industry. And maybe we can carry libraries along too because they're essential in their own way. Awesome to hear that cannabis libraries might be a thing coming up soon. Cannabis libraries. So the next piece of cannabis news here on this Canada News Thursday episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake comes from California. So California officials are awarding $1.7 million in grants to cannabis grow facilities to cultivations that their practices are green and sustainable. So they're taking a deeper look into the California cultivation facilities and giving huge financial rewards to cultivations that have sustainable flows and are using all of their byproducts as ingredients in their grow process, because there truly is a way to recycle all of that organic matter into more organic matter and not have so much waste, minimize waste in the cultivations. I actually did a cultivation tour at Floor here in Las Vegas, and they had such little waste. And it's super impressive how some super smart grow facilities can create such a sustainable and an eco-friendly environment with such little waste, just using all the byproducts back in the grow process. So California is financially rewarding cultivations like this, spending $1.7 million on giving grants to these cultivations that they deem to be sustainable. So huge shout out California, because this really is a green industry. Like, we are truly capable of making the whole cannabis industry sustainable and eco-friendly. So I hope that other states can start awarding cultivations that are green as well, because I hope that's the direction that we're going here in America. Sustainable cannabis growth. And you can learn about sustainable cannabis growth and maximizing your grow process at Oaksterdam University. Let me spark this up and tell you about it really quick. So Oaksterdam University is where you go to learn grow knowledge or cannabis industry knowledge all around. The first ever cannabis college in the country is the predominant place to learn about this budding industry. If you want to claim your stake, there's no better way than getting a certificate, a degree, a legitimate education in the cannabis industry to help you claim your jobs and really get your mental straight and know what the industry is really all about. If you guys use promo code Rolling Spoon whenever you're checking out for your Oaksterdam education, you get a 10% scholarship, and that's like a couple $100, Roll Gang. So make sure you take advantage of the opportunity. You only live once, and cannabis is on the rise, so claim your stake in the amazing industry. Get your Oaksterdam education now. So the next piece of cannabis news, actually the last two are kind of similar, but just wanted to gauge the flow and the vibe of cannabis throughout non-legal states. So first thing is North Dakota, one of the most slept-on states in the country. North Dakota was challenging their people, their citizens, to collect 20,000 signatures within a quarter of a year to put cannabis on the November ballot. And North Dakota succeeded. 21,400 cannabis signatures in support of cannabis legislation in North Dakota. Way to go, whoever was collecting those signatures, coming in clutch. 1,400 extra signatures in 2.5 months. So shout out North Dakota, grinding away, trying to achieve that adult use cannabis market. Hopefully you guys are next on the train. But even more than that, the next and final piece of cannabis news here on this Canon News Thursday episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake, proudly brought to you by the Rolling Spoon and Oaksterdam University. Arkansas challenged their citizens, their Samaritans, to collect 90,000 signatures in support of cannabis legislation. These people were like, shit, 90,000 signatures? We got to get in front of that many people? But good news is, there's tokers in Arkansas. So these citizens not only got their 90,000 signatures in support of legalizing cannabis in Arkansas, they collected 100,000 extra. Let's go, Arkansas. 190,000 signatures in support of cannabis legislation. They said, fuck your 90,000. We'll get you 190,000. So encouraging for Arkansas. And I would not be surprised if they will be moving and shaking, getting a new legal market in Little Rock, We're going to be getting stoned in Little Rock, a little stoned, and just super excited for another state to be added because we're just slowly letting the dominoes fall before the final one hits the ground and cannabis is no longer federally a controlled substance, Schedule 1. The momentum is so clear. I feel like every single week there's more movement in the right direction for the cannabis industry. It's so exciting to see and to be a part of with you guys, Roll Gang. I'm going to go and finish this joint and have a great Thursday, you guys. I'm so excited to see you guys for Fuck Yeah Friday, the best episode of the week. But Roll Gang, you guys know I love to sesh with you every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And the Weekday Wake and Bake will roll on as always, Roll Gang. 8 a.m. Pacific. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You guys are all the shit, and I love you with all my heart. This has been an awesome episode of Cannabis News. Canna News Thursday, breaking down this week's cannabis news on the Weekday Wake and Bake while burning some herb. Roll Gang, much love to you from Processor Sky and the Weekday Wake and Bake. I will see you tomorrow morning.